Do you remember those 1970s dinner tables, always featuring an extra plate of colorful side dishes? The 1970s were an era of simple, colorful, and highly inventive recipes. Today, let's look back at 25 forgotten side dishes from the 1970s that everyone is craving to taste just one more time. The first dish we absolutely must mention is the three-bean salad, a crunchy, tangy dish with that signature vinegar aroma featured at every potluck right next to the BBQ meat or a simple cold-cut platter. Dark kidney beans, crisp green beans, and glossy yellow wax beans were marinated in an appealing sweet and sour dressing, along with thinly sliced onions and bell peppers. This dish tasted better the longer it sat, and it could be left at room temperature. From the 50s through the 70s, many canned bean companies printed the three-bean salad recipe right on the back of the can, allowing this dish to spread quickly straight from the supermarket shelf. A large bowl only cost about $1.50, which is approximately $8 today. Unfortunately, when the 80s rolled around, the arrival of creamier pasta salads quickly displaced these vinegar-based dishes at picnics and family gatherings, but that distinct, crunchy, sweet, and sour flavor remains the perfect counterpart to grilled meat, making it unforgettable. The moment you spotted crisp apple slices combined with a creamy, rich dressing, you knew you were at a formal ladies' luncheon or a holiday feast. Green apples, crunchy celery, and walnuts were mixed with creamy mayonnaise. Sometimes people used Miracle Whip instead of mayonnaise to add a tangier, sweeter flavor. And 70s cooks often added grapes, mini marshmallows, or even canned mandarin oranges to make it more elaborate. A properly prepared Waldorf included crisp Granny Smith apples, sliced just before serving to prevent browning. This dish was created at the Waldorf Hotel in New York in 1896, and originally, the Waldorf did not contain nuts. Each serving cost about 75 cents, which is approximately $4.50 today. When health trends took center stage in the 80s, these mayonnaise-based salads gradually fell out of favor due to their high caloric content. Even so, nothing compares to the harmonious blend of crunch, sweetness, and savoriness of a properly made Waldorf, a flavor that still lingers in the memories of those who grew up with it. Stuffed celery. This was an elegant, refined appetizer often served on divided glass relish trays before the modern crudités platter took over. It was a sign that the host had put thoughtful care and sophistication into their entertaining. The fresh, crunchy celery stalks had to be carefully stripped of fibers to prevent chewiness, and were then generously stuffed with smooth cream cheese, mixed either with bright red pimento olives or pungent blue cheese. This appetizer was not only delicious, but also a wonderful way to start a party, offering crispness and freshness before moving on to heavier main courses. The kids' favorite version was called Ants on a Log, which used peanut butter and raisins, a sweet and playful variation. A tray serving 20 people in 1977 cost about $1.50, which is $7 today. Unfortunately, the preparation of stuffed celery was quite meticulous and time-consuming, making it unsuitable for the fast-paced modern lifestyle, causing this dish to disappear from appetizer trays. But truly, nothing can replace that combination of crisp, cold celery and the appealing, creamy, rich cheese filling. Watergate Salad. This emerald green dessert salad quickly became a genuine culinary phenomenon shortly after its first appearance in the press in 1975. Often referred to as pistachio delight, or more intimately as Watergate Salad, this cloud-like, fluffy dish was the epitome of 70s convenience cooking. You only needed 5 minutes to mix instant pistachio pudding powder with crushed canned pineapple, mini marshmallows, and a generous amount of Cool Whip along with other nuts. Its creamy, sweet flavor and eye-catching green color conquered every dinner table, from birthday parties to post-church gatherings. This dish proved that you didn't have to spend hours in the kitchen to create an impressive side dish. A large bowl serving 12 people only cost about $2, which is roughly $10 today. It was hugely popular and essential at church potlucks, although later the artificial green coloring and excessive sweetness pushed it into oblivion. Hype is the new way to show love. If this video brings back beautiful memories for you, please hit that hype button. It's completely free but means the world to us. Rice-A-Roni Pilaf. If you were looking for a starch dish to accompany your Sunday night roast chicken, Rice-A-Roni Pilaf was the perfect answer. Starting as a convenient canned side dish from San Francisco, it was upgraded into a creative homemade pilaf in the 70s kitchens. The basic technique for making a better homemade version was to brown the vermicelli noodles in butter before adding the rice and broth, creating an appealing nutty and buttery aroma. People often added sliced roasted almonds, raisins, or fresh parsley to enhance the texture and richness of the dish. This San Francisco treat brand originated from the Armenian De Domenico family, who combined rice with toasted noodles, a Middle Eastern pilaf technique Americanized into a beloved side dish. The homemade version in 1978 only cost about 50 cents per serving. Unfortunately, the return to simpler cooking in the 80s pushed elaborate rice medleys aside, but the perfect balance of that nutty, buttery flavor made every dinner feel more special. Ambrosia. For Southern households in America, Ambrosia wasn't just fruit salad. It was elevated to a divine status, especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations. A large glass bowl was filled with tropical fruits made in the classic 5-cup salad style: 1 cup pineapple, 1 cup citrus fruit, 1 cup shredded coconut, 1 cup marshmallows, and 1 cup sour cream/Cool Whip. It was easy to remember and simple to multiply for large parties. The key highlight creating its characteristic flavor was the sweet, aromatic shredded coconut, and everything was coated in a rich layer of sour cream or Cool Whip. The secret to perfect ambrosia was chilling it overnight, after about 20 minutes of prep, allowing all the fruit and cream flavors time to meld together. With ingredient costs around $3 in 1973, which is equivalent to $20 today, it reflected a more luxurious nature than other salads. The rise of lighter, less sweet desserts in the 80s caused ambrosia to slowly disappear from main party tables. Nevertheless, that perfect blend of texture and tropical flavor, from the airy marshmallows to the sweet and tart pineapple, made every bite special and worthy of revival. Green bean casserole. Green bean casserole is an iconic Thanksgiving dish. Even though it was created in 1955, it achieved legendary status and became an indispensable staple throughout the 1970s. Canned French-cut green beans, a can of creamy cream of mushroom soup, and the essential crunchy French-fried onions scattered evenly on top created a savory, heartwarming flavor. This was the ultimate comfort food, developed based on easily accessible and economical canned ingredients. It is estimated to be served at 20 million Thanksgiving dinners every year and accounts for about 40% of Campbell's cream of mushroom soup sales. A casserole serving 8 people in 1974 cost about $1.25, roughly $7.50 today. Even though trends shifted toward fresh vegetables, this nostalgic dish remains difficult to replace entirely in family culinary memories. That golden brown, crispy onion topping and the creamy, warm interior defined comfort food for an entire generation, making anyone crave that soothing taste again. Copper pennies. This bright, colorful carrot salad could be made days in advance and was the savior of busy 70s housewives. Round carrot slices, resembling copper pennies, were boiled until tender crisp and then marinated in a special sweet and sour dressing. Some cooks added celery or multicolored bell peppers for variation. This dressing was typically made from condensed tomato soup, vinegar, oil, sugar, and spices, creating an excellent balance of sweetness, tanginess, and savoriness. The unique thing was that the dish got better the longer it marinated, making it perfect for daily meal prep or large parties. Its sweet and sour flavor appealed to children and brightened up every summer buffet table. To make a batch serving 12 people in 1975 cost about $1, equivalent to $5 today. Unfortunately, the healthy eating habits of the 80s preferred fresh vegetables over marinated ones, causing this vibrant dish to slowly vanish, though its bright color and mildly tangy flavor truly lit up every summer buffet table. Baked cheese grits casserole. At a festive Southern American brunch table, the pan of golden brown grits and cheese casserole was the indispensable partner to baked ham or scrambled eggs. The grits were cooked until soft, then mixed with butter, a generous amount of sharp cheddar cheese, eggs, and heavy cream, creating a rich and nutritious blend. It was then baked until a crispy golden crust formed on top, while the inside remained soft, smooth, and creamy. Housewives often prepared the baked cheese grits the night before, and on Sunday morning, they just popped it back into the oven to create that perfect crispy crust. This dish was popular because it was cheap, filling, and could feed the whole family, and it was easy to prepare large quantities for church functions, neighborhood gatherings, or community events. A family-sized tray made in the 70s only cost about $1.50, less than $12 today. Modern culinary trends favoring whole grains and less dairy push this heavy cheese and cream dish to the edges of menus, especially outside the traditional Southern region. But nothing can compare to that first spoonful scooped from the smooth, rich, crispy cheese layer, bringing the most authentic feeling of Southern warmth. Perfection salad. Perfection salad was once a highly impressive dish, considered the peak of ingenuity in side dish preparation. It was refined, elegant, and had a unique kitsch style inherent in 1970s gelatin cuisine. Unflavored gelatin was used to suspend shredded cabbage, celery, bell peppers, and carrots in a tangy vinegar base, creating a frozen crunch. This vegetable jelly was popular at upper-class women's luncheons and formal buffet parties. Molding the jelly in unusual, often intricately patterned ring molds created a beautiful centerpiece for the dining table. The cost to make this dish in 1973 was only about $1, approximately $6.50 today, making it a unique and inexpensive way to serve vegetables. The shift in public palate toward fresh, lighter, non-gelatin salads ended the proud reign of these molded dishes. However, that crunchy, sparkling vegetable jelly, quivering proudly on the plate, is the definition of pure elegance and a unique culinary legacy. If you also remember the flavors of these old side dishes, please hit like and subscribe to join us in bringing back these culinary memories. Corn pudding. Sweet corn, usually fresh or frozen corn, was slowly baked in a custard-like mixture consisting of eggs, milk, and a little butter. The slow baking process created a unique texture, falling somewhere between an airy soufflé and a dense, creamy pudding with a beautiful golden, crispy crust on the outside. Corn pudding is a classic warm dish, truly Southern comfort food, frequently appearing at church dinners, Sunday feasts, and family reunions. This dish provided a feeling of familiarity, was filling, and was loved for the natural sweetness of the corn. Authentic traditional recipes required the cook to scrape the corn cob to extract the natural corn milk. Ingredients for a pan serving 10 people in 1976 cost about $2, nearly $10 today. The preparation was quite time-consuming, and the preference for lighter side dishes reduced corn pudding's popularity in subsequent decades. But nothing can compare to the natural sweetness of the corn essence and the dish's perfectly comforting, pleasant texture, a flavor we always wish we could experience again. Harvard Beets was a luxurious, deep red side dish that appeared on more formal dinner tables throughout the 70s. Fresh or canned beets were simmered in a sauce of sugar, vinegar, and cornstarch until they had a glossy glaze, creating a vibrant color that added sophistication to the meal. The sauce needed careful cooking to achieve the perfect, non-sticky coating. Some recipes used orange juice, cloves, or butter to add richness. This dish was considered an elegant choice, bringing color and rich flavor to the meal, especially during major holidays like Christmas or Easter. To make a serving for 6 in 1977, people often used canned beets costing about 60 cents, equivalent to $3 today. The trend of reducing sweet vegetables in the 80s, when people became conscious of sugar intake, made Harvard beets less common. Nevertheless, the perfect balance between the natural sweetness of the beets and that tangy, glossy vinegar glaze is a flavor the older generation always remembers. Spinach Soufflé. Thanks to the convenience of frozen versions especially from brands like Stouffer's, Spinach Soufflé brought French sophistication easily to the American dinner table and became popular in the 70s. The homemade recipe required frozen spinach to be thoroughly squeezed dry, then mixed with eggs and Swiss or Gruyere cheese, creating an airy, cheese-filled texture that made the vegetable feel indulgent. Even children were willing to eat spinach when it was disguised in this creamy, light form. This dish is a classic example of how American housewives blended the convenience of packaged ingredients with the desire to serve sophisticated and fancy-looking dishes. A homemade soufflé in 1975 cost about $2 a pan, equivalent to $12 today, a reasonable expense to bring elegance to the dinner table. Regrettably, the microwave revolution and rapid eating trends made these elaborate frozen dishes less appealing, even though the light texture and cheesy flavor made eating vegetables enjoyable. The carrot ring is another excellent example of a visually impressive shaped vegetable dish, transforming the humble carrot into an elegant holiday centerpiece. Cooked carrots were pureed, mixed with eggs, butter, milk, and spices, then poured into a special ring mold for baking. The center of the carrot ring was often filled with cooked green peas to create a stunning green and orange color contrast when served. The carrot ring recipe appeared frequently in junior league cookbooks across the South, serving a dual purpose, acting as a decoration and hiding vegetables from picky eaters. The ingredient cost to make a beautiful carrot ring in 1978 was about $1.50, roughly $7 today, a visually appealing dish that wasn't overly expensive. Modern preference for simpler, less elaborate presentations ended this dish's popularity, signaling the end of the simple joy of a bygone era. Succotash is a traditional dish originating from Native American cuisine, but enjoyed a colorful revival in the 70s. Vegetables like corn and lima beans, which could be fresh or frozen, were simmered with butter and heavy cream. Southern versions of succotash were often enriched by adding okra, tomatoes, or a bit of bacon to enhance the savory flavor. Pennsylvania Dutch versions included a milk-based sauce. This dish appeared both in folk cuisine restaurants and family kitchens, symbolizing the abundance of the harvest season. It provided comfort and was filling, especially in the winter. A pot serving 6 people in 1976 using convenient frozen vegetables cost about $1, which is about $5 today, a very economical side dish. However, the preference for single vegetables over mixed medleys reduced succotash's popularity. The perfect combination of natural sweet corn and creamy rich lima beans defined the richness of the harvest and is a flavor we should restore. Out of these colorful dishes, which one do you remember most from your family dinners? Comment below the video to see if anyone else shares your memory. Tomato aspic was a sparkling red savory jelly dish that dominated summer luncheons and elegant buffet parties throughout the 70s. Tomato juice and unflavored gelatin were seasoned with Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, and celery salt, and ensure it held its perfect shape. You could add a few diced celery pieces, onions, or olives to create texture. This dish is one of the clearest examples of this generation's love for molded gelatin dishes. Tomato aspic was typically served chilled, accompanied by homemade mayonnaise or sour cream, creating a balance of tangy, savory, and rich flavors. In 1974, making a tomato aspic serving 8 people cost about 75 cents, equivalent to $4.50 today, a formal yet affordable dish. The preference for fresh salads replaced molded salads in the mid-'80s, causing this tomato jelly to be forgotten. That cool, refreshing tomato essence preserved the taste of summer in every bite, offering a unique culinary experience we should cherish. Broccoli rice casserole. This cheesy casserole was a magic trick in the 70s kitchen, helping even vegetable haters enjoy broccoli eagerly and without suspicion. Frozen broccoli, instant rice, cream of mushroom or cream of celery soup, and a hefty amount of cheese whiz or shredded cheddar cheese were used to create absolute richness. The signature touch that made this dish stand out was the crunchy topping made from crushed Ritz crackers, sprinkled evenly on top before baking. This recipe became widely known when it appeared on frozen food packaging and quickly spread across America, symbolizing convenience, ease of transport, and being excellent when reheated. Ingredient costs in 1977 were about $2, nearly $10 today. However, later, modern health trends favoring fresh vegetables over processed ingredients caused this rich casserole to decline in popularity. Nevertheless, that rich, cheesy comfort made eating vegetables feel indulgent and enjoyable, recalling warm family dinners. Every community cookbook had someone's famous version of it. Scalloped Tomatoes was a warm casserole that turned an abundant summer tomato harvest into kitchen magic, perfectly aligned with the thrifty and anti-waste ethos of the 70s. This dish originated during the Great Depression era, an ingenious recipe that used stale bread to absorb the tomato juices, resulting in appealing golden, crunchy edges. The recipe used fresh or canned tomatoes, layered alternately with cubed bread, with added sugar and butter, then baked until bubbly and golden brown. This dish provided warmth and was a perfect combination of the tomatoes' sweet and sour flavor and the bread's crispness. A pan of scalloped tomatoes in 1973, using homegrown tomatoes, only cost about 50 cents, an extremely low cost, about $3.50 today. The year-round availability of fresh tomatoes in the market reduced the seasonal appeal of this dish. Nevertheless, that perfect blend of sweet and sour tomatoes and crunchy bread is pure comfort and a legacy worth reviving. 7-layer salad was a spectacular dish that had to be displayed in a tall, transparent glass bowl to show off the 7 carefully arranged and colorful layers of ingredients. The layers typically included crisp lettuce at the bottom, followed by green peas, diced onion, crispy bacon, shredded cheddar cheese, and finally, a thick layer of mayonnaise or Cool Whip covering the top to seal and maintain freshness. The genius of this salad was that it could be assembled up to 24 hours before serving, giving the host much more leisure time for entertaining. A bowl serving 12 people in 1978 cost about $4, nearly $20 today. Unfortunately, the high calorie count and massive amount of mayonnaise clashed with the health consciousness of the 80s. That beautiful presentation and make-ahead convenience defined easy and impressive entertaining for an entire era. Pickled beets and eggs. Hard-boiled peeled eggs were marinated in a sweet and sour beet pickling liquid for several days until they turned a shocking and surprising pink color. This was a visually shocking combination, deeply rooted in Pennsylvania Dutch tradition, yet it became a unique party and buffet trend of the 70s. The color contrast of this dish was the main highlight. This shocking pink hue created a powerful visual impression on the buffet table, making the dish a constant topic of conversation among guests. This food was popular not only in family kitchens, but also sold in pubs as a savory and tangy snack. A jar made in 1975 cost about $1, equivalent to $5 today. Changing preferences for snacks and bar food pushed pickled beets and eggs into obscurity. That surprising pink interior and the tart, slightly crunchy flavor created memorable culinary experiences, a genuine 70s culinary audacity. Creamed onions is a traditional dish, frequently appearing on Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday tables. Pearl onions were gently simmered in a rich white sauce, made from butter, flour, and milk or cream, creating a smooth texture. To add sophistication and flavor, cooks often added a touch of fresh nutmeg or sherry, transforming the simple dish into a more complex flavor profile. The preparation of this dish was quite tedious, especially the task of peeling dozens of tiny pearl onions, which required considerable patience. Even Julia Child had a version of this dish using cream and Parmesan cheese, elevating this humble food to higher culinary status. Fresh onions for 8 servings in 1974 cost about $2, a more expensive dish compared to casseroles using canned ingredients, equivalent to $12 today. The preparation required significant effort, and changes in holiday menus reduced its presence on modern tables. The creamy, rich flavor and the natural sweetness of the pearl onions are a classic combination that today's generation should rediscover. Zucchini bread was a creative and economical solution, born when summer gardens yielded an abundance of zucchini, and housewives sought ways to utilize this generous vegetable supply. Shredded zucchini added excellent moisture to the bread and it was combined with herbs, cheese, and far less sugar than the breakfast version. The abundance of summer zucchini made this dish economical and delicious, and it was served warm, often with a pat of butter. A loaf made in 1979 cost about $1, equivalent to $4 today. This was not the sweet version typically used for breakfast, but a savory bread used as a side dish for dinner. The trend of complex artisan breads replaced these simple vegetable bread versions. The perfect warmth and moisture of a slice of savory zucchini bread was a wonderful complement to any stew or roasted meat. Marinated mushrooms. Mushrooms were marinated for several days in a sweet and sour sauce, typically a combination of vinegar, herbs, garlic, and quality olive oil. These small button mushrooms, marinated sweet and sour, were indispensable on every appetizer tray, antipasto, Italian appetizer platter, or buffet table in the 70s. They were a simple but extremely appealing snack. The chilling process allowed the mushrooms to fully absorb the flavors, making them juicy and delicious. The boom in mushroom farming in the 1970s made them more affordable and accessible than ever before. The make-ahead nature of this dish suited busy people perfectly. They just needed to pull them out and serve. 1 pound, about 0.45 kilograms, of marinated mushrooms made in 1976 cost about $2, which is nearly $10 today. Fresh mushroom preparations replaced the marinated versions in more sophisticated meals, but the sweet, sour, and savory flavor of pickled mushrooms is still something many people remember fondly. Glorified rice was a strange hybrid dessert salad, often confusing those outside the American Midwest, but passionately loved by local residents. Cold rice was mixed with fresh cream, or Cool Whip, mini marshmallows, and crushed pineapple, sometimes with added cherries. This was a smart and economical way to use leftover rice, transforming it into a sweet, airy, and colorful side dish. This dish was particularly popular in church cookbooks and community groups. A bowl of glorified rice made in 1975 cost about $1.50, roughly $8 today. The clearer modern culinary distinction between dessert and salad ended the existence of this ambiguous food category. However, its cold, airy, creamy texture and tropical pineapple flavor brought simple joy to many. Cheese ball accompaniment. When it came to the cheese ball, the truly memorable part of the 70s wasn't just the cheese itself, but the ritual and display of the elaborate accompaniments arranged around it. The cheese ball was typically mixed from cream cheese, sharp cheddar cheese, and seasonings, then rolled in nuts or parsley. The accompaniment platter was a masterpiece, featuring carefully selected crisp crackers like rye rounds, water crackers and Triscuits, fresh vegetables like celery or bell peppers for spreading, and the special spreading knives were meticulously arranged. The ritual of gathering around the cheese ball and spreading the cheese onto crackers became a social event, turning it into the true centerpiece of the party table. The cost of arranging this impressive accompaniment platter in 1977 was about $3, nearly $15 today. Regrettably, ready-made party platters in the supermarket replaced these elaborate homemade displays. German potato salad was a warm, hearty choice, replacing the typical mayo-based potato salad. Waxy potatoes were boiled, cubed, and then mixed immediately while still hot with a sweet and sour vinegar dressing. The biggest difference was that this dish was served warm. The secret to its rich flavor was hot bacon fat and crispy pieces of crumbled bacon. Waxy potatoes were used strategically to hold their perfect shape, even when hot. Serving the dish warm created a unique and enjoyable difference from regular cold salads. A batch made in 1976 cost about $1, equivalent to $5 today. The trend toward lighter, lower-fat dishes overshadowed this rich and flavorful preparation. The perfect balance between the tangy vinegar dressing and the smoky bacon flavor is unforgettable, making this dish true comfort food. Cottage cheese Jell-O salad. This congealed salad was a bold combination, born from the American love for gelatin and the convenience of packaged ingredients post-World War II. Lime or lemon Jell-O was mixed with cottage cheese, crushed canned pineapple, sometimes adding cream whipped topping or a bit of mayonnaise for extra richness, creating a smooth, airy, slightly tangy, sweet, and very retro texture. This was a strange culinary creation, but became a staple at potluck parties because it looked fancy, yet was inexpensive. Gelatin salads like this boomed when convenient packaged ingredients flooded American kitchens, turning this cheap and easy dish into a display centerpiece in intricate patterned molds. A family-sized cottage cheese Jell-O salad mold in the late 70s cost about $1, nearly $10 today. Unfortunately, modern tastes favor fresh, less processed food, causing these savory, sweet gelatin dishes to gradually fade from family tables starting in the 80s. Mock oyster casserole. This was a clever recipe from the Great Depression era, but it was still used in the 70s kitchens due to its practicality and ability to fill the table with a warm and hearty dish. The dish used soft boiled eggplant mixed with crushed savory crackers, saltines, butter, milk, or half and half, then baked until the top was golden and crispy. The seafood flavor was simulated by the chewy texture of the eggplant combined with the saltiness of the crackers and buttery fat, creating an interesting gustatory illusion. Although it sounds odd, this dish still lived on in traditional restaurants in Kentucky and was common in community cookbooks. A plate cost about 50 cents, equivalent to $12 today. Improved post-war economy made mock oysters less necessary, and tastes also shifted away from this heavy butter and cream dish. Pear salad with cheese and mayo. Pear salad was an odd, sweet, savory, and rich salad frequently appearing in community cookbooks. Half a canned pear was placed on a crisp iceberg lettuce leaf, sprinkled with shredded cheddar cheese, and highlighted by a large dollop of mayonnaise right in the center, sometimes topped with a bright maraschino cherry. This combination boomed in the mid-20th century when canned fruit was a pantry staple. A small plate made in the 70s only cost about 20 cents. Extremely cheap, equivalent to about $2.40 today. The combination of mayo and fruit was deemed old-fashioned as salad trends shifted toward vinaigrettes and gourmet fresh cheeses, causing this strange yet endearing dish to fade into oblivion. The side dishes of the 1970s were not just recipes. They were memories of togetherness, sharing, and love in every family meal. Although time has passed, those flavors still remind us of an era when every meal was cooked with heart. If you also feel nostalgic looking back at these dishes, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join us as we continue our journey to rediscover wonderful forgotten culinary memories.